Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman. I am the CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We also assist companies in the implementation certification of ISO standards in all ISO derivatives. My background is aerospace, medical implants, medical materials, printing, and plastic distribution, where we dealt in just about every arena. This video is very important because it goes to my fellow shareholders of Boeing Aircraft, and this is the title. Boeing shareholder and quality expert Daryl Guberman issues stern warning to other Boeing shareholders. Yes, and it is very important that I get this out because the share price will keep on dropping. I have offered my services, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow shareholders, to Boeing to get me in there, roll up the sleeves, and I can be a troubleshooter for them and make them come out shining as they used to be decades ago. Today, let me get into this right now. In 2013, I gave a speech at the American Society for Quality, both the Fairfield and New Haven County branches, where Mr. David Levy was there trying to destroy me. He was sent there to specifically try to destroy me, discredit me, etc. That's what I was told at the end of the meeting. He apologized and he said, Daryl, he said, you're a smart guy. He said, there's nothing I can say. In fact, he said, as a Region 3 director, he had some weight behind him when he said this. And at that time, the American Society for Quality owned the American National Crediting Board 50%, while the American National Standards Institute owned ANAB, the American National Crediting Board, 50%. He said, Mr. Guberman, we have no problem with what you're doing. In fact, ANAB supports you, sir. That was support number one. We didn't want that. We wanted to be independent to help these companies, like the Boeing suppliers. But Boeing kept us out, and we're going to show you how. They broke the Sherman-Clayton Act of 1914, and shareholders, you must listen to this, because I come to the board here with over 40 plus years of experience in quality. I told you, in aerospace, medical implants, materials, printing, and plastic distribution, where we dealt with every possible industry. Mr. Randy Doherty in 2016 invited us to join either the IAF or ANAB or both. And we refused. And the reason why we refused is because in 2015, you will see in the upcoming placards, that in 2015, he handed over leadership of the International Accreditation Forum, which you will also discover is a founder is ANSI. ANSI founded the International Accreditation Forum. We will show you this. At the time he handed over leadership, he, in 2015, was the chairman of the IAF. He was also principal of the IAF Tax Form 990, and he was also the vice president of ANAB. He handed it over to a communist Chinese national. We're going to get to that right now. ANSI, for my fellow shareholders and individuals out there who are watching this video, ANSI is a over 100-year-old company. It is a not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation, and it has federal agencies and corporations on board. We're not going to get into Wuhan, China, and all that. All I'm going to do is say this in brief. You have Randy in 2015, the vice president of ANAB, the chairman of the IF, and the principal in the IF tax form, handed over leadership to this communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu, who at the time was also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services. You'll also find in this presentation on this video that ANSI ANAB are underwriters for the International Accreditation Forum. You'll also find once again that ANSI was a founder of the IF. They founded the International Accreditation Forum. So it just makes sense why they're underwriters. They are also underwriters for IAF's sister organization, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation in Australia. ANSI took over complete control over ANAB in 2018. You have both federal agencies and corporations on its board. You have ANAB sitting on ANSI's board and vice versa. As I said, in 2018, ANSI took over complete control over ANAB, and they sat on the International Accreditation Forum, being watched over by Communist China. On ANSI's board are federal agencies like the FBI, the FTC, the DOD, the DOJ, the FAA, the FDA, NIH, CDC, and on and on and on. And corporations like Boeing, Lockheed, Johnson Johnson, and also Pfizer sit there. Here is IAF. IAF is a sister organization, and when Randy was the chairman, he put this little tiny blurb out when he was being interviewed saying that they are sister organizations. IAF is a sister organization to ILAC. As you can see down here, this is an actual snippet from Randy's promotion in 2009 to chairman of the IAF, and it says right here that ANSI, founding member of the IAF and an ANAB affiliate, means that they were all together even in 2009. You have 10 different registrars in communist China that can issue an ANAB or ANSI ANAB accredited certification. By the way, Zhao Jinwu is mandated by his country of origin to take our data through the China National Intelligence Article number 7. Here is the actual validity of what I said about them being an underwriter, ANSI ANAB. This is a government contract. We're not going to really go deeply into it, but this is a standard operating work order. And in the context of this standard operating work order, it says that ANSI ANAB are underwriters for the IAF. Now we come up to Boeing. Boeing sits on ANSI's board right over by ANAB, okay? They also, you will find them, they also sit on ANAB's board. You'll see in this presentation the management committee, which can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. In 2002, Boeing put out a supplier bulletin. This supplier bulletin is critical, shareholders, very critical, because it basically gave up supplier auditing, okay, to a certificate. And I'm going to say it to you in brief. You take your AS9100 certificate accredited by ANSI ANAB because Boeing sits on their board, shareholders. What's wrong with that picture? And what happens is you send in the certificate, you send in the part, and Boeing doesn't have to send any source inspectors out to the facility to see if those parts are being made in the Himalaya Mountains. Who knows? Under conditions that are not that good, not cooperative, so to speak. And then you have this. In 2009, the FAA gave regulatory authority to Boeing, meaning they are a regulator, shareholders. Don't let anybody bullshit you. I am telling you a fact, and this is what it says. The FAA increased the authority of Boeing's Commercial Airplane division to self-certify its own aircraft. Authority extended. This is where it talks about the MCAS system. Shareholders, they didn't have to tell Boeing anything. And this is why. Authority extended to Boeing under this new system allows Boeing employees to perform tasks on behalf of the FAA that include oversight of testing and product standards, along with certification of aircraft technologies. There's MCAS, and new aircraft designs like the 777 and 787 where they have quality issues. On top of it, here's a Boeing certificate, okay? And Boeing sits, as I said, on ANSI's board, and here are the 7 registrars that sit on ANSI's board by Boeing. There is no confidence in the integrity and quality of those certifications that are being dispensed by the American National Standards Institute / the American National Crediting Board. On their supplier portal, they're calling out ANSI ANAB, or internationally equivalent. On the Management System Accreditation Committee, it shows right over here that they can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. And the next thing, my fellow shareholders, is very critical, is because now you have the FAA that made Boeing a regulator in 2009, stuck between a rock and a hard place because how can they even judge one regulator against another regulator? And the final component of this, my fellow shareholders, is that during the time when they were an FAA regulator, Boeing was fudging documentation. How do you like that, my fellow shareholders? You like that? And most recently, their Bell Boeing composite facility got fined by the DOJ $8.1 million between 2007 and 18, fudging documentation. I'm going to say this, my fellow shareholders. My name is Daryl Guberman, integrity, honesty, and the truth. And in order for us to bring those share prices up, these intertwining alliances that are breaking the Sherman Act, because in 2012, we are a registrar, we were certified, and you heard that we got a 50% vote of confidence in 2013 and 2016. We were invited to join and we refused because of their Chinese infiltration into those organizations and subsequent hacking of those federal agencies and the corporations that sit on ANSI. It's like a conduit for how should we say, hacking. So I'm going to say this at the end. David Foster Wallace, my fellow shareholders of Boeing, said this: "The truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you." My telephone number is 203-556-1493 or Daryl, DARYL, TQRS @yahoo.com. I thank you.